Hey everyone, welcome back to the Listen Up Girl podcast, where I break down the biggest LGBTQ plus headlines from around the world with clarity, context, and just the right amount of sass. I'm your host, Zach Randles-Friedman. Today is Friday, October the 17th, and let's get into it. Our first story is federal judge expands block on Trump's passport ban for trans and non-binary Americans. A federal judge has delivered a sweeping win for transgender and non-binary Americans, expanding an injunction that blocks the Trump administration's attempt to ban passports with accurate gender markers. Judge Julia Kobik's ruling in Orr versus Trump, a case brought by the ACLU, means the State Department must continue issuing passports that reflect people's true gender identity, not the gender assigned at birth. Kobik went further, granting the case class action status, meaning the protection now applies nationwide. The legal battle stems from an executive order signed just days after Donald Trump returned to the White House in January. The order banned the use of X-gender and restricted passports to those, quote, accurately reflect the holder's sex. The ACLU has urged the Supreme Court to reject the government's request to pause the injunction. ACLU Legal Director Jesse Rossman added that the ruling is a critical victory against the discrimination and equal justice under the law, defending the right of trans and non-binary individuals to travel and live safely and with dignity. As of now, the Supreme Court has not yet ruled on whether the government's appeal will move forward. The decision is a major turning point, reaffirming that identity documents are not political statements but human necessities. Next story is Jonathan Bailey steps away from acting to grow his LGBTQ plus foundation. In a heartfelt new interview with GQ, actor Jonathan Bailey revealed that he's stepping away from acting, at least temporarily, to focus on his philanthropic passion project, the Shameless Fund. The foundation, launched in 2024, supports LGBTQIA+ charities through creative brand collaborations, blending fashion, humor, and activism. Bailey, who spent the last 3 years juggling roles in Bridgerton, Jurassic's World Birth, and Wicked, said the break is long overdue. I've been working solidly for about 3 years now, which has been amazing, he shared. Among its standout campaigns, cheeky Drink Your Milk t-shirt and sold-out slutty little sunglasses inspired by Bailey's movie character, Dr. Henry Loomis. But Bailey says the numbers tell a bigger story. Out of every 100 pounds raised in the UK, only 1 pound goes to the LGBTQ plus community, and we're trying to change that. Now he focused on expanding the foundation's reach and building a team to tackle that funding gap head-on. Because for Bailey, giving back isn't just charity, visibility with a purpose. And that was reported by GQ. Next, we have J.D. Vance downplays the racist and sexist GOP messages. Vice President J.D. Vance is facing backlash after defending members of Young Republicans caught exchanging hundreds of racist and sexist and anti-Semitic text messages, including one calling rape epic and another one that said, "I love Hitler." Speaking on the Charlie Kirk show, Vance dismissed the comments as, quote, youthful indiscretions, saying kids do stupid things, especially young boys. They tell edgy, offensive jokes. That's what kids do. The critics were quick to point out that many of the individuals involved are in their late 30s, barely younger than Vance himself. His remarks have sparked outrage from both sides of the aisle, civil rights advocates saying comments normalize hate speech and excuse bigotry under the guise of jokes. And that was reported by The Guardian. I mean, you should have seen what these people say. Google it if you haven't seen it already. These people are sick. They're sick in the head. They're racist. They're talking about Hitler, how they love Hitler. They're saying the N-word. They're disgusting. So, and then there's pictures of them all, and they're all, you can tell that they have no life and no friends and nobody in their life, and that's why they're taking to be online to talk negatively about people, because they are no treasure themselves, let me tell you. Next, farewell to trans trailblazer Miss Major Griffin-Gracy. Legendary transgender activist Miss Major Griffin-Gracy, one of the few surviving veterans of Stonewall Uprising, has passed away at the age of 78. Her death was announced by the House of GG, with Griffin-Gracy Retreat, an educational center she founded, which she said died in the comfort of her home surrounded by loved ones in Little Rock, Arkansas. Miss Major spent decades fighting for the rights of Black trans women, incarcerated trans people, and those living in margins of society. Her organization, described as her beacon of resilience and love, who created safe spaces for all trans communities. A former sex worker and community mother to countless queer youth, Miss Major embodied what it meant to fight for both heart and fire. Her legacy is not just one activism, but of survival, community, and free compassion. That was reported by The Advocate. Next, Zohran Mamdani honors Sylvia Rivera, pledges legal army against anti-trans policies. The new New York City mayoral candidate is paying tribute to transgender pioneer Sylvia Rivera in a powerful new campaign ad and making a bold promise to protect trans rights. He represents Queens in the state assembly, pledged to deploy hundreds of lawyers to fight Donald Trump's anti-trans policies and return New York to a sanctuary city for trans people. He reflected on Rivera's story, how she came to New York at 11, befriended Marsha P. Johnson, and helped ignite the modern EQ+ movement. But he also noted that even within the queer community, Rivera and other trans women were often excluded or erased from Pride history. Mamdani's message: New York must remember who built its movements and ensure no one is left behind again. That was reported by LGBTQ Nation. Next, in Turkey, its proposed anti-LGBTQ+ reform sparks global alarm. Lawmakers have introduced what human rights organizations are calling one of the most extreme anti-LGBTQ+ bills in recent memory. The proposed 11th judicial reform package would criminalize queer expression, restrict access to gender-affirming care, and even jail couples for holding same-sex commitment ceremonies. Under the draft, any person who publicly encourages or promotes attitudes contrary to biological sex or public morality could face up to 3 years in prison. The legal age for gender reassignment surgery would be raised from 18 to 25, with mandatory psychological evaluations and court approval required. Doctors who provide treatment outside these guidelines could face 7 years in prison. And same-sex couples holding symbolic weddings could face up to 4 years behind bars. The reforms are part of a growing anti-LGBTQ+ push from President Erdogan's conservative government, which has increasingly blamed Western immortality for social decay. Next, we go to Niecy, Nash-Betts, and Miriam Margolyes. Two queer icons, two interviews, and they shared the message of love, visibility, and defiance. Niecy Nash-Betts, named Out Magazine's 2025 Icon of the Year, told Out that she's ready to ride at dawn as the Supreme Court revisits marriage equality. Stepping on somebody's ability to love whoever they want is wild, she said, and if they try, I'll be on the front lines. Meanwhile, Miriam Margolyes, never one told to hold her tongue, dropped another legendary line on RTE's Late Late Show. I'm a left-wing dyke and I love it. Sex is really about moistness and friction. If you've got that, you've got fun in my book. Between laughter, Margolyes also spoke about the pain of losing friends, of her public support for Gaza, calling it heart-wrenching but necessary. Two queer elders both reminding the world that pride means joy and courage. That was reported by Out Magazine. Next, AOC sends a message of hope to trans youth. In a recent Instagram Q&A, Congresswoman AOC addressed trans youth directly, offering words of encouragement amid a surge of anti-trans rhetoric nationwide. She said, "You are just fine the way you are. And in a time when it's hard to know who stands with you, I want you to know that I stand with you." And everyone who stands with AOC's message went widely shared praise for its empathy and clarity during a time when trans kids are increasingly under legislative and social attack. So that's the roundup for today. From the courtroom to Hollywood, from Turkey to New York, the LGBTQ+ community continues to show that resilience, resistance, and love look like. Thanks for listening. I'm Zach Randles-Friedman, and this is Listen Up Girl, and see you next time.